Welcome back, you guys, to JZFishing, and in today's video, we're going to be doing, this is part one of a two-part series in which I'm going to kind of be going over the best ways to fish the San Francisco Bay, because for me, living in Mill Valley, we don't have a local pond or really a local lake that's like a walk away. What we have is the bay, so I'm just going to be teaching you guys how I fish it, because it can be kind of complicated, and there are some things that you need to know that will help your day be successful. So yeah, this part one is going to be me kind of showing how I use live bait, so like squid, maybe some live anchovies, and then part two will be me showing you how to do lures. This is part one. Yeah, I'll see you there. Okay, today I'm going to be bringing these three rods, 1, 2, 3. This is the first rod that I'm going to be bringing. It's a medium heavy spinning combo, pretty good for sprays. I have 20-pound braid outfitted on it. I would prefer maybe either 30 or 40-pound braid, if not maybe 20-30-pound mono, but it is what it is. And then here I have a little bit of a fish finder rig. I have about maybe a 1.5, maybe 2 foot leader, 80-pound braid as a leader, and then I have a 6/0 circle hook. Of course, all links in the description will be below. And then this is the biggest part of the rig, so the 2-ounce weight. And one important part is it's sliding, so if a fish picks up the bait, it will kind of swim with it without feeling the weight, because it will keep sliding, and then once I set the hook, it's on, but the weight will still keep the bait on the bottom. Moving on to my second rod and reel, I have my Penn Squall, which is a heavy style bait caster. Really good for big sharks, big rays. Now this is a bit of an experiment. I'm going to be using two hooks. One of them is on a 80-pound leader to a 6/0 circle hook. The other is on a, I think, 30 or 40-pound wire leader, maybe 50-pound, to a worm hook, which actually works surprisingly well for sharks and stingrays. It is a sliding weight, my bad. So hopefully maybe this should catch fish. And the reason that I'm having 2 hooks is because I want to be able to have one hook using squid and one using anchovies, just to kind of see which bait is working better. Moving on to the final rod and reel combo that I'm going to be using today. It's my Shakespeare Ugly Stick with my Penn Battle 2 4000. Really good reel, a really good rod. And on it, I actually don't have a live bait rig yet. I might put one on, depending on what the action is like. But I just have a small little swim bait on with a 1/4 ounce jig head, tiny little swim bait. And I'm using this just because, and while this is a video about me talking about live bait fishing San Francisco Bay, I do always tie on a lure just because you never know when you might need to chuck a swim bait out. And a swim bait is usually the most versatile bait when it comes to fishing saltwater. So yeah, those are the rods and reel combos that I'm going to be using, as well as the rigs. Now let's get out to the bay. Okay, so for bait, what we are using today is a squid from the company Seawave Calamar. I found it at our local Safeway. It was about 17 bucks for the entire box, but you can probably find it at a local bait shop for a little bit cheaper. In fact, our West Marines usually, when we're not in the Corona season, sells it for about 5 or 6 bucks, right? 5 or 6 bucks? Something like that. Yeah, so somewhere around that. It's really, really cheap. You can get out here, you fish that, and stingrays and sharks, they love that bait. That's one of their favorites. Stripers, not so much. I don't really think halibut. I mean, halibut will really eat anything, but if you're targeting like a striper or a halibut, I would suggest probably an anchovy, which is the second bait that I would suggest using if you were here. An anchovy is also kind of the same thing with the squid. It's really pretty cheap. You can find them easily at your bait shop. The only thing that I would say with that is you need to possibly buy a bait thread, what's called Miracle Bait Thread, to just keep the anchovies on the hook if they're going to be dead, like tray anchovies. And then if you don't want to spend any money at all and you have some skills with this, you can try and catch your own bait, whether that be anchovies or smelt. You can throw a sabiki rig, kind of jig it off the bottom, especially near these pilings in between those two. You can throw a sabiki
try and get some anchovies or squid that way. And if you can and you have the skills to, you can throw a cast net. I have a cast net. I'm still working on actually finding the fish with the cast net. So every time I practice, but yeah, those are two really good ways to catch bait fish.
Okay, I believe that fishermen should be allowed to show their spots. That way other fishermen can use them. So I'm going to show you how I got here. First, what you're going to want to do, I'm going to be showing this in kind of a backwards way, but you're going to want to go up this little path right here, and there are a couple of them. And what you're going to see is this road right here. And that bridge there is actually Highway 101. So this spot is pretty much right off of Highway 101. And what you're going to do is walk alongside of this road on this dirt path. And yep, there's Highway 101 right there. And up ahead, if you were to keep walking on that sidewalk ahead, you would eventually get to the Aqua Hotel, which is where we get picked up and dropped off at, and then also the Ferrari store. So if you want to go to the spot, and a good place or a good thing to put into your Maps app is the Aqua Hotel and or the Ferrari store. The path also is that. Another way to distinguish that path is that tipper on 8 sign. That's when you know you're in the good place, or you're at the right place. Anyways, you're just going to want to keep walking. Once you're at the hotel, just walk down this sidewalk until you get to where I just showed you.
Another thing to remember too is when you plan your trip out to here, to the bay, you can't really, you can just come out here whenever, but one of the things that I would, really suggest is when you're making a plan is download the Tide Alert app. I'll link it in the description below, and figure out what time it is 2 to 3 hours before slack tide. Now, what I mean by slack tide is the highest point in the tide or the lowest point in the tide. And what you want to do is really get here in those 2 to 3 hours before that, because that's when the fish are most active. That's when the tides are going in and out. The bait fish are kind of getting clumped together, and that is when I have found that the fish are most active. If I would suggest either going 2 hours before high tide or low tide, I would suggest going 2 to 3 hours before low tide, just because when it really gets to get low, or starts to get low, you can tell where these fish are, and really pinpoint them, because there's just not as much water to cover. Now, when you're fishing in the San Francisco Bay, there are a couple of species that you would probably be going after. One of which, and the one that we catch the most out here, is Stingray, or bat ray, here in Mill Valley. The bat ray is a kind of a stingray. They are a little bit dangerous. They do have a barb not at the end of the tail, kind of at the front. It's kind of obvious, and that can sting you if it gets to you. But as long as you're careful, it's pretty hard to get stung. Now, before we get too far in today's video, I just want to give myself a little bit of a shameless plug here. You should totally subscribe, because in the next couple of weeks, we're gonna get lots and lots of new content in. I've got really, really cool ideas planned, especially for this weekend. I'm super hyped about this weekend, because in California, we are now legally allowed to drive to fishing locations, which is huge. So yeah, exactly. So what we're going to be trying to do is getting some freshwater in, maybe going after a 3 or 4 pound rainbow trout, which would be crazy. Trying to catch some spring bass if they're still spawning. Maybe trying to catch a halibut at Paradise Pier. Tons and tons of action-packed stuff coming soon. Some tutorials, a catch and cook. I'm thinking about doing a review on my new Penn Squall. And I'm also getting a chest mount for this phone right here. That way you'll be able to actually see the fighting action from my POV. So tons of new stuff coming soon. So I totally suggest subscribing and hitting the little bell. That way you'll never miss any of our videos. The second species that we have here, it's also very popular, more specifically during the summer, is a leopard shark. Leopard sharks can range anywhere from like 12 inches to about 6 feet is the longest I've ever seen. And they're really good fighters. They are sharks, so they do have some teeth, but same with the stingrays. As long as you're careful, you're really not gonna get injured. I am going to be doing lots and lots of leopard shark fishing, probably in this very spot this summer, so subscribe because you want to see that. So the third species that you would catch here is a halibut. Now, right now, they are in season until about, I don't know when the season ends. It'll say like right here. And those you can catch here. They're a little bit harder. You might want to, if you're really going for halibut, I would suggest either going into a deeper part of the bay or even taking a boat a little bit offshore. Those are one of the best eating fish, if not the best eating fish in the bay. They're really, really tasty. They fight hard, and what they do is they sit on the bottom. So if you are fishing for them, make sure that you have a heavy enough weight to be able to stay on the bottom, even fishing well in current. The fourth species that you can catch here is the striped bass, also known as a striper. It is also a freshwater species, and it also fights really hard. Those you might want to use an anchovy for, and yeah, they're really cool game fish. Overall, pretty cool fish. They don't really have that many teeth, so it's a great species to fish for if you're a kid and you just want to get something to bite your line, but you don't exactly want to mess with anything too dangerous. Stingray on.
It looks like it's just sticking. It's just sticking to the bottom. It's honestly a big weight. It's a weight that's moving. How people say that it's a dead weight or whatever. It's a live weight.
Okay, so we just caught that, actually reasonably sized stingray, and we had some help landing it from some people. We stayed 6 feet away, don't worry, no non-social distancing was happening. But they are keeping them, and kind of as a way to repay them for helping us land the fish. We decided to give them the stingray. Normally I would not keep a stingray, I would just throw it back, but they wanted it, so we gave it to them. So no, don't give me hate for keeping the stingray or for letting them keep the stingray. I understand, but it's one out of millions that are out here, and for the most part, we'll 100% just throw them back.
All right, so I just got back from the bay, and I really enjoyed filming today's video. It was really super fun. And if you enjoyed today's video and you want to see a part 2, please tell me in the comment section below, and help me out by clicking the subscribe button, because it helps me continue to make these videos for you guys. The more support I can get, the more videos I can really pump out there. Helps motivate me to make more content for you guys. And if there is a specific video that you guys want to see sometime, please, once again, tell me in the comment section below. And if you got anything out of this video at all, click the like button, because it all really supports me. And also, all the stuff that I talked about in today's video is going to be, I'm going to try and link it below in the description. And if you do buy any of those products, I do get a little bit of a kickback from the links. So please, if you're going to purchase any of those things, purchase them off of my links, because once again, it's a great way to help support the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.